find something that I like to do, and then I said, well, let's go get educated on it, because for some reason that seems to have a lot more purpose to it.
Okay.
And since I already had the bachelor's degree, I was able to work, and I work for myself, I was able to work my schedule to adjust for the class times, regardless of whenever they were. It was interesting. I think most of the teachers enjoyed having me in class because, number one, I worked. And I've always seen that with older students. They do apply themselves. They are more motivated than younger students. And as some of the teachers have told me, they like me because I ask questions. If I don't understand something, I'll ask a question.
What was it about Cincinnati State that you have taken with you?
I think Cincinnati State is it's honest, it's very real, and people want to help you.
What makes us resilient? What makes some people continue to pursue their goals and dreams in spite of roadblocks or challenges? What if all we needed was an opportunity? Imagine if we trusted our talents, our abilities, and our strengths, then took a chance on ourselves. FutureProof is a Cincinnati State faculty and student-created podcast where students, alumni, and employers share adventures in learning outside of the classroom. We hope you will cheer, cry, and laugh along the way as we share our students' stories of resiliency and overcoming the odds. Find out what happens when we finally stop saying no and start saying yes.
Hello and welcome to FutureProof. I'm Jane Martin Dressing.
And I'm Amy Donbar.
FutureProof is a podcast about the stories of student success and adventure from our graduates at Cincinnati State. We are sharing a little bit about what they've been up to, what brought them to Cincinnati State, and where they are now. This has been a crazy week. This was commencement week. We had graduation. So congratulations to Jason, one of our producers who has graduated, and to Carly, producer Carly, who also graduated. So they were the first students to kick off FutureProof and start the recordings for us. So new to us this week is Nate the Great, who is taking care of us.
And they came back.
Yes.
So Jason is here today. He's graduated. He said his goodbyes yesterday. Last Friday, he said his goodbyes, and he's still here today. Our students are dedicated. So we had a great commencement. It's been a busy week. It's end of the semester. Grades were due, and so we are kicking off now next week our summer semester. So. We are welcoming a guest today who has been involved in Cincinnati State for a long time, who has, like many of our students, had a career outside of the work they're doing at Cincinnati State, and also, like many of our students, became so connected and involved with the college that they became instructors and stayed and became committed to the process of teaching and engaging more students. So we welcome today Tom Barrett to FutureProof.
Good morning.
Welcome. I'm glad you're here with us, Tom.
Yeah,
Thanks for taking the call and saying yes. Can you just sort of walk us through how you got to Cincinnati State and your decision process to pursue an Associate of Arts and Sciences degree in audiovisual production? And I know that's a big question, because I know that you came here with a bachelor's degree. And so can you walk us through how you got here and your backstory?
I'll give you the backstory. Yeah, so my stepdaughter moved in with us. She was struggling, and so we wanted her to go to college. She had trouble with getting into doing college the first time around. And so she moved in with us, and we came up to Cincinnati State, my wife and I with her, and interviewed with the department chair for art. Interviewed with a couple of other people, got a tour of the campus, and everybody was so nice. And at the time, I do independent consulting, I was working with a company out of Chicago doing sizzle reels. So reels that would promote a company or a business.
Wow.
And I said, well, I ought to learn what I'm doing.
So this was self-taught. The sizzle reels, it was an interest and you just taught yourself.
Worked with somebody else.
Okay,
yeah, so
okay.
I was working with another guy.
Okay.
So this is about 10 years ago. And that's kind of how I've always gone to college. I find something that I like to do, and then I say, well, let's go get educated on it, because for some reason that seems to have a lot more purpose to it.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since I already had the bachelor's degree, I was able to work, and I work for myself, I was able to work my schedule to adjust for the class times, regardless of whenever they were.
So you have a Bachelor of Science in agronomy? Am I saying that?
Agronomy and plant genetics.
And plant genetics. But you're also working in the audiovisual field before you got to us in 10 years ago.
Mhm. Even as a young child, I did photography, and I used to do animated slideshows back when we didn't have nonlinear editing. And I had been involved in marketing with productions. And actually, as a golf course superintendent, the golf course I was on was in Southern California. We did not have any palm trees, and the studios used to rent out the golf course on Mondays when we were closed. So I worked with the studios. I was the ombudsman, and I would go between the golf course, represent the golf course people, and the studios. So it was an interesting time.
Wow. This is just blowing my mind. Like, they seem such disparate areas. I mean, definitely I see the artistic overlap, but just I don't even think I've ever heard the word agronomy.
It's
I didn't know it was a
agriculture.
word. I mean, I get that.
I didn't know if I was saying it right, girl. Like, I didn't even know.
It's not astronomy. It's agronomy.
It's
I was
agronomy,
feeling
yeah.
my way in that word.
You nailed it.
Oh,
You
God.
did nail it. You
I was
nailed it.
looking for nonverbal cues from Tom as I was saying it, if I'm honest.
And then
Oh,
there's
you
the
were
golf
perfect.
course piece. Golf course, and then I thought for a minute there you were going to say you were maybe just putting in fake palm trees, like you were, like,
No.
holograms,
holograms.
palm tree holograms.
The nice thing, I would put myself through college the first time. And so you could work at a golf course. You'd work from 6 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon, and I could work another job at night.
So was this interest in agronomy? I mean, obviously there was the connection with working at the golf course and learning about all of that, but did that also follow that same path for you, that you were interested in plants and plant genetics and then said, I'll go get some education around it? Or was that
It
what brought
happened
you to
the other
that?
way around. I started working on golf courses when I was 16. And so I could work on the golf course all summer. I could work on the golf course in between semesters, so I could work there even during Christmas vacation.
Right.
So I could make a lot of money there, and I could work another job at night. So I would work from 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. You don't have any time to spend it when you work like that. And since that's what I was doing, I said, well, how do I really move up into that world? And that's when an agriculture degree, I wanted to get a bachelor's degree.
Right.
That agronomy and plant genetics degree just seemed like a good path to go. It turned out well.
So then you come back to school, you get your stepdaughter here, and you're like, well, I could do this. I really want to learn more about the techniques behind, what I've been doing and
How to do it the right way.
and how to do it the right way. But but I feel like in both of these areas, when you came back to school, you were also interested in the teach myself, teach someone else. Like
I always have.
the best way to know that you know something is that you're teaching somebody else.
Right.
But so you're an adjunct instructor kind of in two areas. So talk about that a little bit and how that's influenced your...
As a golf course superintendent, the irrigation is really important, especially out west. And I was on one of the courses. I was on, I think, 7 different golf courses. So having the water is the most important thing to control in the desert. And so I became very knowledgeable in irrigation, and actually 1984, 85, I put in one of the first computerized irrigation systems.
Wow.
So,
So technical overlapping with the love for plants coming together.
yeah, and
That's
then
beautiful.
I went to work for an irrigation manufacturer So I've worked for them for 16 years, moved up from sales to sales management to marketing manager, worked for 2 wholesale distribution companies, worked for a drip irrigation company out of Israel. So I have extensive irrigation knowledge. And I actually started to teach this class back in 1985. I would go to all the major universities in the Great Lakes area, and I would teach the class to senior and graduate students in landscape architecture.
And this is this horticulture program at Cincinnati State, and is kind of it in this area, right? There's not a lot of
It's the only one around here,
yeah.
So, and all of the students are working.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so what was it like to come back here to Cincinnati State and pursue a 2-year degree, and talk to us a little bit about what you studied? And
I would have loved to have seen you in class, because were you sort of like a student but also then teaching the class? I was
very, very careful not to pull the old man trick, like I know more than you because I'm much older. And I think it was interesting. I think most of the teachers enjoyed having me in class because, number one, I worked. And I've always seen that with older students. They do apply themselves. They are more motivated than younger students. And as some of the teachers have told me, they like me because I ask questions. If I don't understand something, I'll ask a question.
Yeah. So you were studying what programs here at Cincinnati State when you came here?
As the audiovisual technology.
Yeah,
It's been all audiovisual technology.
All audiovisual. Okay. And so what did you do for your experiential learning? As you know, all of our students are required to do some form of co-op, internship, some practicum. Here it's a requirement for our degree. And so what did you do for your experiential learning while you were here, your co-op, if you will?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when I went into the co-op program, so I called up Melissa Godoy, who used to teach here. She used to teach documentary, and I did a documentary with her. And I said, did she know anybody that would be good for me to be a co-op student for? And then about 2 weeks later, she said, I could use you. And so Melissa Godoy is an Oscar. She was a line producer for American Factory, which won an Oscar.
Wow.
Nice.
And I liked working with her. She really taught me how important the story is to tell. So I started working with her. She introduced me to Queen City Angels, which is an angel investment group.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And they're number 2 in the country.
Right, yeah.
So I started working with them, editing some interviews that they had with some of their investors as well as some of their recipients.
Nice.
So
you were sort of telling stories. You were doing this sort of storyboarding in a way.
Yeah. So we were telling stories.
And they're concerned with funding. If I remember correctly, I haven't heard that name in a while, but they're concerned with funding entrepreneurs.
Yeah. They fund startups. They do the first level. They're even in there before the first mezzanine funding.
And they help those entrepreneurs as well grow their business, not just with funding, but with mentoring as well, if I remember correctly.
Right. So what I think whenever you're telling a story, you're always looking for that unique angle. And the unique angle with Queen City Angels is that they actively participate in the startup.
Yes.
And so they specialize right now. I think they've got some healthcare stuff that's pretty big right now. I haven't paid attention to them in the last 2 years, but that's what my co-op was.
And so you're recording, as Jane was saying, you're recording the stories of some of their investment companies.
The investors as well as the companies that they've invested in.
Wow, that's wonderful.
So I think we had 8 interviews.
Nice. And how long did you do that? That was a couple semesters or semester?
Actually, yeah.
I'm still with them.
A little bit more than a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We started in December, and I think I ended it up in November the following year.
So did you feel about this audio-video production degree that it was kind of an icing on the cake to other career endeavors that you had? Or did you intend to actively pursue a career path in that field, or was it about? Because I know now you're teaching courses in that. Was it about kind of being able to get in the classroom and do that? Was there a time that you made a job out of it or a career out of it for a while and stepped away from the landscape work?
I stepped away from the landscape work because I really got tired of corporate America. Mm-hmm. So we went through a large downturn in the company, and I was commuting from Indianapolis to Tucson.
I saw this whole Indiana connection, which I want to get there because I'm a Hoosier. Shout out to Hoosiers.
Oh, okay.
I grew up in Indianapolis.
Did you?
Block from the fourth turn. So.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Hey, this is race month, too.
Well, yeah.
This is it. What are you even doing here? You should be parking cars in your front yard like I did.
What is block from the fourth turn?
The Indianapolis 500.
What is that? I don't.
First turn. There's four turns.
Welcome,
and the fourth turn.
I'm sorry. I just want to catch up a little here.
The fourth turn is where you can see them crossing the finish line from behind.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I appreciate
so close that we could park cars in our front yard. For people to walk in charge.
Yeah, but I understand it's gone down quite a bit. We used to have a suite at the Indy 500. So
the landscape company, or just you?
No, this was through Toro and through Caterpillar. So
yes,
because Caterpillar sponsors a driver.
Yes.
So so we had a suite in the Indy 500. I would spend back those days the month of May. Now it's just a 2-week process. So I got to meet some of the drivers and back in the gasoline alley area.
Yeah. It was literally we're getting off topic, but if you grew up in Indianapolis or lived in Indianapolis,
it's the biggest block party in the state,
and it was an entire month.
Yeah, it used to start May 1st. Then they bring the drivers in.
Carb day, and it was big.
I'm loving this Hoosier situation here, you guys.
Yeah. We're going to talk about corn on the cob next.
Oh, go. All right.
No, we're not.
Oh,
the irrigation and the corn. We're going to bring it all together.
We're going to bring it all together. I'm proud of you, girl. I'm loving this. This is great.
Yeah, so the company I worked for, they were headquartered in California. And our main office was in Tucson, Arizona, and I had an apartment in Tucson, and I would commute for over 5-6 years between Tucson and Indianapolis, or Los Angeles and Indianapolis. So it was a lot of travel.
So you have done a lot of things before you came to us while you were here with us, and you're doing a lot of amazing things now, which I know we're going to get to. But I want to talk a little bit about what we ask all of our listeners who are alumni of Cincinnati State, which is, what was it about Cincinnati State that you have taken with you and that has caused, you to be the success that you are today, the Cincinnati State component? Because I know that there's a lot of things that have contributed to your success right now.
I think Cincinnati State is, it's honest. It's very real, and people want to help you. So one of the experiences that I had, because I taught that irrigation class at so many universities, probably 8 or 9 different universities, you get a feel for what the college campus is like, which you don't ever get a chance to on a college tour or anything like that. So I would teach at Cornell, and Cornell had a wonderful collaborative program that encouraged you to go beyond where you were. You go to a school like Purdue, and Purdue is more competitive. So the schools have personalities, which as an undergrad you don't realize. You don't have a chance to see so many different colleges. So when I saw Cincinnati State, it's got a very helpful, friendly, collaborative, and supportive environment, which not all colleges have.
We are the Harvard on the Hill.
Yes. Well, and the fact that you were the first to have a co-op program in the nation, I think.
For 2-year colleges,
2-year colleges, shout out, yeah. UC was the first 4-year, and we're the first 2 years. So
so that's, it says it's cutting edge back in the day.
It is cutting edge. It's a game changer. We believe that. There's only so much you can learn in the classroom, and then you have to, when you really figure out if you like it and you want to do it, it's because you're out there trying it, and there's only so much you can figure out from a textbook or a lecture.
Yeah, and then you see with the real world, plus you develop connections. And in almost all the positions that I've held, I got them because of a connection.
Of course. That's probably how 70% of people, maybe more, get jobs, find
it's
work.
through a connection. It has nothing to do with answering the help wanted ads or even the importance of a resume. It's because you know somebody, and then that gets you in the door, and then the rest of it, it's up to you.
Absolutely. So
you got a lot of papers there.
We got a lot of papers. There's a lot going on here.
We're college workers. We have a lot of I told you we had a lot of backstory prep work.
We know everything about Tom.
We only have 30 minutes today, so that's the only thing saving you, Tom, from all the research I've got in front of me. All right.
So what would you say, looking back on your education and your career journey, which is long, and you've done lots of things. This is Tom Barrett Renaissance Man, which is what we're going to call this episode, because he's done so many jobs and had so many careers.
No, Zena, write that down, our production assistant, our student production assistant. Go ahead.
What would you say that has been the most significant obstacle that you've had to overcome? And how'd you tackle it?
Yeah, so the most significant obstacle is my own biases. What I think should happen. And as I've gotten older, I've become a lot more open, a lot less judgmental. You're raised with a certain degree of biases. Your parents, your society tells you you've got to go to college, you've got to get a job, you've got to get married, you've got to have children. And then as you get out, you start to say, well, that didn't work, right?
Yeah, next.
Right. That didn't work. So you just stay open.
Yeah.
So when Dave asked me to teach, it's like I really hadn't thought about that. But yeah, okay, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah. There's my plan and there's the plan.
I think it's important.
They don't always.
I think it is important to have a plan. So
Sure.
I had some pretty strong goals, life goals, that I did when I was in my 20s. And that really helped set my direction, because you look, at 18 or 19 years old, what do you really know about the world or life or what you want to do? And so I sat down for quite a while, and over a period of about 6 months, came up with life goals that would be guiding goals.
You did this in your 20s?
Early, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you, Tom, what I was really doing in my 20s, but I don't feel like I was writing down a lot of goals.
Yeah, well, I didn't write them down as much as just formalize them and internalize them. And, the other thing, too, is that I went through a rough period at that time. And that was when the Vietnam War was going on. I lived through civil rights. So you see all of that change, and you see what, the biases that you have, and the prejudices that you have. And it's like, okay, I think sometimes out of adversity, you get some of the biggest changes in your life.
For sure.
So
what are you doing now? Like, what are you currently? You teach in 2 programs here.
Mm-hmm. I teach in 2 programs here. My real full-time job is I do small business coaching, executive development, business process improvements. And then I just started up a new company called Black Squirrel Films. So just incorporated this year, and it'll be a production company.
Oh, my goodness.
When Melissa was asked, so one of the questions they asked in the co-op program, Hannah asked Melissa where she thought I would fit in best. And Melissa said a producer. So I said, okay, well, I guess that's what we'll do.
And you're talking about Hannah Held, your co-op coordinator?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
I love this story.
I too.
So where would you fit in best? So you've got this production company, you're still teaching, you're still excited about teaching horticulture.
Right.
It's still exciting to you, and meeting the students and being engaged with them. What do you still want to do? What's on your bucket list? What are your goals and aspirations now?
Well, to get this production company up and going and see where it takes me. I like doing documentaries because I discover with a documentary you don't know what's going to happen. So I like that aspect of it. So that's one of the goals that I have. I want to continue to refine the class structure, classes, because I think it takes about 3 rounds before you really get solid on what you're teaching. And these classes...
You're talking about your audio video production
right,
classes.
the audio video, the irrigation class. But when I started teaching the irrigation class, it was all pencil and paper. So how do you incorporate technology into a very visual but engineered practice? So there's that. And then I want to continue to travel. I like to travel.
That could be your documentary work right there.
Yeah, my mom always said I was a traveler. I was always on the move.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting that from Indiana
all
to
the things
all
that you're
over
doing.
to Cornell to California, the West Coast.
I think before I was 40, I was to every state except for Alaska and Hawaii.
Oh my goodness!
I love this.
Yeah, I mean, you stay open, and it's amazing what turns up. I mean, I worked with one of the companies I worked for. We worked with Walt Disney World as they developed Animal Kingdom.
Wow. Was that part of the landscape? You were doing landscape stuff there?
Yeah, when the opportunity, I mean, I never would have expected to have been working with Walt Disney World for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know,
that was a good experience.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see a company like that. Their attention to detail is over the top.
Oh, absolutely.
Completely over the top.
If you've ever been there, you know that it's from the person who's picking up garbage, right? You don't see any, right? Because somebody grabs that before it's...
Well, every one of the topiaries that they have 3 replacements in the back. I had a whole presentation. We used to fly people in from around the world. We were a sponsor at Walt Disney World. Mm-hmm. So we would fly people in from around the world a couple times a year, and we would do I would do a presentation on little-known facts and figures of Walt Disney World.
Wow. Is Disney World a co-op site for horticulture program?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I knew we had it with business students and some of our culinary, but I didn't know that they had...
I mean, they are the largest single-site employer in the nation. They have 55,000 employees on site.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much for being
Tom
here
Barrett,
with us
Renaissance
today.
Man.
Thanks for having me. It's fun.
And we can't wait to see
and
what
when
happens
you guys
with
need
documentary.
A job,
Yes,
we'll see what happens.
We'll need
okay.
jobs.
We're staying open.
Okay.
We're staying open.
I'm definitely going to stay open.
Jane and I are staying open.
I feel like my life's been real boring so far, and I need to kick it into Tom Barrett gear.
Cool.
I need to kick it into Tom Barrett gear.
Cool. I'm taking notes on all this stuff.
I think I got to sit down and write my goals down and my aspirations. I think I'm just... We got to stop winging it, Amy.
All right. We'll have a sesh. We're going to have a sesh.
Yeah.
A sesh at a coffee shop very soon.
Okay. We're gonna Tom Barrett this life is what we're gonna do. Tom, thank you so much for being with us here today and for being involved in Cincinnati State, staying involved, working with our students, sharing your vision with them, and staying open in these 2 big areas of your life. And so it's great to have you here. I hope you stay involved in our college.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
And listeners, don't forget to like and subscribe to catch all of our new episodes and find out what really happens when we stop saying no and start saying yes. And if you have an idea for a future interview of ours, email us at futureproof@cincinnati-state.edu.
The FutureProof podcast is brought to you from Studio 459, up on the hill at Cincinnati State's main campus in Clifton. This podcast is produced in conjunction with the Cincinnati State Audio-Video Production Program, its students and faculty. If you like what you heard here, please hit the subscribe button. If you're an employer or potential student, please visit cincinnati-state.edu.